Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Natalia Leigh. I'm an indie author and freelance editor, and today we're talking about the second book, Slump, or in my case, the Whiskey City Slump. I have really been struggling recently to work on the second book in the Pistol Daisy series, which is titled Whiskey City. So today we're going to talk about it. Also, I cricked my neck so bad this morning, so if I seem a little bit stiff and statuesque as I'm sitting here, it's because I'm doing my best not to move my head. So that's what we're dealing with today. Okay, if you are interested in hearing a little bit more about Whiskey City and hearing more about why I'm struggling with it, then just stay tuned. Here we go. Alright, I do want to start off by saying that this video is kindly sponsored by Campfire. Campfire is a program that you can use to keep your entire story super organized, from organizing cultures, races, and different species within your fantasy world, to keeping track of like rules of magic and your magic system, to just building characters, plotting your novel, building your world. Campfire can do it all. I have been using Campfire for Pistol Daisy and Whiskey City. I use it for my series Bible. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but I just wanted to let you know Campfire is sponsoring today's video. If you are interested in trying Campfire out for yourself, I do have a link down below. I highly recommend you try it out. You can get a free trial, play around with it, see if it's something you're interested in, and then if you decide to buy the program, make sure to let them know that Natalia Leigh sent you. Whiskey City, this darn book. Now, I think part of the reason I have been struggling so hard with this book is because I am editing full-time now. I've mentioned this in 100 videos. I'm very, very happy about it. I'm very fortunate, but this is the first time in my life when I have been working like full-time. I had a pet sitting business, which is now no longer. We have like a couple clients here and there, but for the most part, nobody is traveling. So I'm very, very fortunate that I was able to pick up editing clients because my pet sitting business just like tanked and blew up in a fiery explosion. But when I was doing pet sitting, it was tedious. It was a lot of work. I was working early in the morning. I was working late at night. I was doing overnights for clients, but it was not consistent work. So maybe I was busy for a week, and then I had a week where I had a lot of time to myself, or I was busy for a month, and then suddenly I got, 2 months of quiet time. And that allowed me to work on my projects, my creative projects, whenever I wasn't working. And something else is that pet sitting was not a creative job. I got to play with dogs and cats, and in some cases like turtles and guinea pigs and all kinds of animals. I got to play with them during the day. They were my job, taking care of them, taking dogs on walks, etc. That is not creative work. That didn't take me thinking very hard. It just took me leaving the house, which is something I generally don't like doing ever. But with my editing work, this is very, very, very different. Editing work requires my full focus. It requires my brain to be operating at full capacity, and it's something that fits my personality very, very well. I love editing. I love catching errors. I love learning new rules. I love following rules. I recently took an Enneagram test, and I'm a type 1. And that seems very fitting of me. So editing is very fitting for me. That's kind of where this whole story comes back to. I love editing, but it is a much more creative-minded job. I do copy editing, which is certainly more like logical and fact-focused, but I also do manuscript critiques, and that takes me pulling stories apart, looking for weaknesses, figuring out how to strengthen those stories, working on story arcs and character arcs, and that's all very creative-minded. And I find that when I'm doing all this, I really struggle to save up enough energy to work on my own creative projects. And Whiskey City is definitely suffering for it. I can't remember when I said this, but I do recall saying in a video a while back, like, oh, I'm so excited for Whiskey City. I have so much energy for Whiskey City. You know, I'm so inspired and motivated to work on it. And that was true at the time. But something has happened recently, and honestly, I have like almost zero desire to work on Whiskey City, which is really painful because I have never written a series before, and I have wanted to write a series for years. My entire writing career, I have wanted to write a series. I love series. They are my favorite books to read, and I specifically plotted Pistol Daisy to be the first book of a series. I originally thought it would be 6 books. Now I'm thinking the story is probably more like 4 books, but I am struggling to write the second book. And I have already written 2 drafts of Whiskey City over the past year, 2 years. I wrote it in 2019, January 2019, I wrote Pistol Daisy. So last year and a half about, I wrote tons of drafts of Pistol Daisy and 2 drafts of Whiskey City, and now I'm working on the 3rd draft of Whiskey City, and it is like pulling teeth. I sit down and I work for an hour, and I come away with like 5 pages that have been like edited and rewritten because I'm saving as much as I can from the 2nd draft, and then I'm rewriting or editing what I need to make the changes required. And I recently broke into Act 2, so I've definitely made progress. Like Act 1 is done. I'm happy with it. I feel like Act 1 is ready for beta readers. Act 2, I'm in the very beginning of it, and the thing is that I think I'm doing a good job. Like, I know these characters so well now. I've written so many drafts with these characters that I feel like I know them personally. Like, Daisy has a very, very strong voice, and when I sit down to write her, if I write something that doesn't sound like Daisy, I immediately catch it and I can take it out and rewrite it from like a more genuine and authentic place, which is awesome. So I don't think I'm doing a bad job. It's not like I'm looking back at what I've written and like cringing at it, which I've had a lot of experience with that. I'm sure we have, but that's not the case. It's more the case of when I get an hour of time, I just don't feel like working on it. You know, I feel like plotting a different book. I feel like writing something, you know, spooky and paranormal because the fall season is coming up and I love fall and I want to write something, you know, witchy or magical or something, and I'm struggling so hard to stay focused on Whiskey City. And I don't think this means that I should just give up. I know it doesn't mean that. I think what this means is that for the first time in my life, I have a full-time job that is tiring and that is taxing, and I'm struggling to make that work with my own creative projects. And on top of that, if you guys didn't already know, the Preptober workbook for 2020 is already in the works. I started working on that like end of last week. I've had quite a few people asking about it, asking if there will be a new one out. Yes, I hope for it to go like up for pre-order in like mid to late September. So I'm working on that as well. And I think that is contributing to my writing slump, is that I have a tendency, this is just my personality, I have a tendency to stack 50 billion things on myself. So the moment I have time, my brain starts moving and my brain starts saying, what can we do? What is fun and different and exciting? What can I create? And the Preptober workbook is one of those things. I love creating the Preptober workbook, and this year it's going to have even more pages. It's going to be even more helpful, or that's my goal. And I'm just so excited for it, but that also means that now I have something that's even more pressing. I have a Preptober workbook that needs to be remade and re-updated, and that needs to come out on October 1st, so writers can prepare for Nanowrimo. Nanowrimo! What the heck am I doing for Nanowrimo? Well, the best thing would be to draft book 3 in the Pistol Daisy series, but I'm not even done with book 2. I have not outlined book 3 whatsoever, so how the heck am I supposed to write book 3 for Nanowrimo? These are the things that are going through my head, and these are all the things that are contributing to this Whiskey City writing slump that I find myself in. I am pulled too thin. I am pulled in way too many directions. And like I said, I am new to the whole full-time job thing. And actually, speaking of having a full-time job while trying to write, please, if you have an AuthorTube channel and you also have a full-time job and you are balancing those two things, you know, writing your books, your poetry, your short stories, like whatever, if you're balancing that with a full-time job, please let me know down below, because I am looking to do a collaboration with other AuthorTubers who work full-time in hopes of learning how better to manage my creative life. I have made a lot of videos in the past talking about building a writing routine, how to handle your time, all this really great stuff. And while I think those videos are still valid, I am now in a different position where I don't know how to handle myself. I don't know how to make these creative projects work with everything else I'm doing. So with that being said, I don't really know where to go from here. There's part of me that's considering reading Pistol Daisy again, because every time I read Pistol Daisy, I get really excited. And that's wonderful to be able to say, because my other books generally aren't like that. Like Highborn and Way of Spears, I have not read those books in years. Honestly, I'm nervous to, because I wrote those so long ago and I was so new to the world of writing. Song of the Dryad, I have not reread. Pistol Daisy, I have read, and I remain very happy with it. And every time I read it, I get excited. Like I can read that book in 1 to 2 days, depending on how much time I have. So I'm thinking I might reread it just to get inspired and excited about Daisy's story again. The cool thing though is that while I've been working on Whiskey City, because of Campfire, which I used to build my series Bible, I have not had to go back to Pistol Daisy to try to find details. And this is something that I think is absolutely 100% necessary if you are writing a series, you know, whether it's like a duology, a trilogy, a 10-book series, like whatever you're writing, I highly recommend you have a series Bible, because it allows you to keep track of everything. Just the other day, well, last week, when I was working on Whiskey City, I needed to remember the type of horse that one of the characters rides, because of course I can't say it's a Palomino on this page and then say that it's, you know, a black horse or a bay horse on these other pages. So I literally just went to my Campfire document, I went to that character, and I immediately found out, okay, this is the horse he rides. You know, it's a mare, it's a dappled Palomino, yada, yada, yada. So that has been really, really helpful, because the last thing I want to do is have to go back to Pistol Daisy, constantly having to find more information. So I have learned in writing a sequel that a series Bible for me is 100% required and necessary, or else I would forget details all the time. So that's definitely a reason to try out Campfire if you haven't already. You can of course make a series Bible in an actual binder or in a Word doc. I just find Campfire the most helpful because it has so many capabilities. You can just do so much with it. So definitely check that out. But that has been a good thing. Like I am still keeping details in order. I know where we're going. I know what's happened, you know, what has happened to each of my characters. So it's not like I've forgotten the story. I have just lost my passion for it, and I need to find that, and I need to get that back. Unfortunately, I just feel like part of what's taking it away is my inability to manage my work, like my work with my creative work. So again, if you are an AuthorTuber who is interested in participating in a collaboration and you have a full-time job in addition to writing, please give me a shout down below. If you're comfortable, you could drop your email down below, because I'll need to start like sending emails and trying to organize this collaboration that I want to do, in hopes of not only learning for myself how to manage a full-time job and writing, but also to help other people who might be struggling as well. So there is that. The writing, the Whiskey City writing slump, the sequel slump is very, very real, and I am definitely struggling with it. So my hope, my goal, and even in saying that, I get a little bit nervous because I've really been struggling with goals lately, with writing goals. I've always been somebody who really benefits from goals, and I can really push myself to achieve goals because I work well under pressure. But the last 3-4 goals that I've set for Whiskey City, I've not even tried to actually hit because I just find myself drained at the end of the day. And I'm like, you know, I'm supposed to write X amount of words for Whiskey City, but I cannot bring myself to do it because I'm too tired and I just want to lie in bed and, you know, watch Netflix or something. So it's a struggle, but I know that I'm grateful for this because this is going to teach me something new. You know, I had it felt like endless struggles when I was trying to learn how to write a book for the first time. There were many times when I thought, you know, I'll never be an author. I will never finish a book because I can't seem to figure out how to dedicate myself to it, but I learned how to do it. So I do have high hopes that I am going to learn how to balance my actual work with my creative work, and I'm hoping you guys might be able to help me with that when we do this collaboration. So that's my little Whiskey City update. I hope I can come back on here in a month or two and be like, oh, I found my passion again, and I'm listening to my playlist, and I'm doing all these things to get excited for Whiskey City. Like, I hope I can do that because I want to find my way back to the story. I want to find my way back to Daisy and all of her friends and the, you know, hunt for revenge that she's on. Like, oh, I want to get back to that. Daisy is so important to me and I cannot just abandon her. So there you have it, my friends. I am in a writing slump and I think I know why. I just don't know how to get myself out of it. So I'm going to keep trying different things. Again, one last reminder, please let me know down below if you're interested in doing a collaboration with me. Hopefully it's going to be one of those really cool collaborations with like a bunch of authors. I've been in a couple of those, but I haven't actually made one myself, so that would be really exciting. I'm going to go get an ice pack for my neck because it is on fire right now. I'm going to go get an ice pack. Going to get back to editing for the day, and I hope you guys are all doing well. Thank you for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you so much. If you have any tips for me, please leave them in the comments down below because I could use all the tips I can get. And make sure to click that link if you want to try out Campfire as well. All right, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.